Hey guys, Jessica Taylor here, and this is day one of our 10 relationship red flags series. So we're going to be discussing all of the red flags we need to stop ignoring, and I do have notes. I did do my research. This isn't just basically, solely based off of my own opinions, although you will hear them, so be prepared. I don't know if anybody of you watched any of my previous series, but I am brutally honest. I'm going to try to say this more out of love than out of brutality at this point because I have changed my heart a lot and I am growing and maturing. So grow and mature with me if you want. But we're going to get started, and the first thing we're going to discuss is communication, or lack thereof. Red flag number one in a relationship is if you have a lack of communication. Her definition for lack of communication, I'm going to read to you, says, these individuals find it difficult to talk about issues or express how they feel. Often, when it would seem most important to be open and honest, they distance themselves emotionally, leaving their partner hanging or having to deal with the situation on their own. Often, whatever is communicated is expressed through moodiness and sometimes the dreaded silent treatment. So we're going to hit that first. Ladies, since you probably, I know women do this definitely a lot more than men, except I have dated a guy who was more of a lady than a man, I would say, because he really did like to give the silent treatment instead of just communicating things. And typically, women do that because the silent treatment comes from a victim mentality. I know this because I used to have a victim mentality. I was abused as a child. I had a father who was an alcoholic, who did every drug under the sun, and was just a really, really horrendous, angry human being. So he was a young father. I forgive him now. I understand that drugs do mess you up a lot. So we're going to keep moving forward and staying positive. But according to the Huffington Post, the number one reason why couples break up is because of the lack of a communication. So if you don't want to have a relationship that you think is going to end in divorce if you get married or whatever it is, start working on your communication skills now. Not just with your significant other. Work on it with your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your cousins, your coworkers, your boss, anybody, your best friends, anybody and everybody. I have 3 best girlfriends that I can literally say anything to, and they're not going to take offense to it. Why? Because they know they're not perfect. We all know we're not perfect. There are things, when people love you and you have friends who really care about you, they're going to tell you the things you don't want to hear, the things that everybody else is sugarcoating. So listen to them, because that's a mature form of communication. But there are 3 specific things to healthy communication patterns, and they are, let's see, positive thinking, limiting your anger, and engaging in active listening. Everybody, I'm pretty sure, knows what positive thinking is and what limiting your anger is. So we're going to focus on active listening because a lot of people, I don't think, understand how important active listening is. What exactly is active listening? And it's giving feedback when you hear somebody speaking to you. Whether you are listening to them or not, if you're not listening because you're engaged in something else, tell them to hold on. That's active listening, because you're responding to knowing and hearing them saying something, even though you can't pay attention to it at the time. Just tell them to hold on a second and then bring it back up later when you can actually actively listen to what they're saying. Mothers do this with their children when they say things like, hey, did you hear me? When they ask them to do something, and then the child rolls her eyes and annoyingly responds back, yeah, Mom, I heard you. And she doesn't stop there, though. She tells them to repeat back what she said, because that's confirmation that the child did hear what she said, instead of just saying, yeah, I heard you ask me, what did I say? And as adults, we shouldn't have to do this, but unfortunately we do, because people have a very, very poor communication skill set. So we're going to work on that. It requires us to stop being selfish and to start being selfless. So if you don't know how to be selfless, that's putting somebody else's needs above your own. So if you're stuck with, and you only care about me, 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 don't be surprised if you're only attracting other people who are all about me, 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 me. So if you want a serious, committed relationship where you don't feel like you're the only person trying, then you have to be the only person who isn't trying. So communication is key. Ask the hard questions right out the gate. When you're getting to know somebody, Don't sugarcoat things and pretend to be who you think they want you to be, and, you know, put a mask on and pretend that life is perfect, so then they fall in love with you, and then once they get to know you, they realize how much of a horrible human being you really are behind closed doors, or how miserable you are with your own life. Don't do that to people. It's annoying. You're annoying. Stop doing it. We really, really, really need to focus on repeating back what people say, and when you're in some sort of discussion of a disagreement, let's say, you're allowed to agree to disagree. That's okay. We're men and women. We're completely polar opposites. If you haven't figured that out yet, it's true. So repeating back when you hear somebody say something does one of three things. It omits misunderstandings, it allows corrective action on yours or her, their part, and it prevents any animosity from forming. When you have a victim mentality, you listen from a defensive standpoint, and that's not healthy. So change your listening and quit thinking that the people who love you are attacking you. Otherwise, get out of that relationship, because you shouldn't be with somebody you don't trust. And if they're not communicating properly, then, it's just not good. I dated a guy who was literally the nicest guy on the planet Earth, super sweet all the time, sugar-coated everything, made everybody love him, they all talked good about him, happy, 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 but behind closed doors, he would, drink himself to sleep, or would smoke pot until he couldn't, even think anymore, because he was so depressed from stuff that he was, in denial about from his childhood still. Bad relationships that you don't have some sort of closure to from being a child or younger in your, teen years and stuff, is going to affect you as an adult. It's going to have an impact on your life and how you communicate with other people and how you hear things. So fix the problems that are in your past if you want to have a healthy, relationship with somebody in the future. There are there's a lot of good knowledge in the Bible, and I don't know if people here that are listening are, Christians or not, but there's a lot of good stuff in there, whether you want to believe it or not, and just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not true. So James 1:19-20 says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God." And the reason why this is so important, Matthew 15:18 tells us, says, "But what comes from the heart speaketh the mouth." So if your heart is angry, you're going to speak angry words. If your heart is happy, you're going to speak happy words. So if you're a type of person where you feel like you want to say, F this and screw you, or that person da-da-da, do you ever get into those fights in your head where nothing has even happened, but you're having an argument in your own mind about what could have possibly happened from a situation? That's victim mentality. You need to stop arguing with yourself for no reason, because all it's doing is making you emotional, and when you become emotional, you become ineffective. So to be an effective, positive, good, active listener, that's what's going to cause you to become a better communicator. So let's focus on that. Let's try to communicate and grow up a little bit with each other, and know that we're not all perfect, and that there are things that we can both work on. But if you work together as a team, it's going to be a lot easier in the long run, and you guys are both going to be a lot happier for a lot longer, and you're not going to have to worry about breaking up and what you're going to do with a crappy communication partnership. So thanks for listening, and if you like this, share it and spread the word, and you can follow me on YouTube or on my Facebook page, and we will get to the rest of these red flags. So hope you enjoy, and I will talk to you later. Bye.